The film begins with a man named Richard stopping at a traffic light in a high-end sports car. At the same time, another man named Francois pulled up in the Ferrari, and the two exchanged comments about their sports car. Richard remarked that he grew tired of this type of toy and immediately replaced it with another. Francois responds Ferrari is good but not up to his expectations. It turns out that they both work as valets at an exquisite hotel. Francois ended his shift and headed to his parents' home. When he entered the house, his mother informed him that Doctor had arrived to check on his father. However, Doctor had fainted, and she had phoned his daughter to fetch him up. When Emily arrives, Francois informs his mother he is going to propose to her at lunch tomorrow. Upon hearing this, his mother got excited and inquired about the ring. Francois said he would get it in the evening. Then, she shared this great news with Francois's father. He remarks that Francois is aiming too high. The girl is a well-settled businesswoman, and she will not accept his proposal. The mother becomes defensive and claims Francois is handsome and a good man. He can get any girl he desires. Later, Francois happily arrives home with a ring and shows it to his friend Richard. Francois informs him that he must move to his mother's house once Emily accepts the proposal. Richard states that Emily will not move into this filthy apartment. In addition, Richard indicates that he won't have to move out if Emily rejects his proposition. The following morning, Christine, the wife of a billionaire businessman, invites her husband, Levasseur, to join her for lunch at the breakfast table. Levasseur claims he won't be able to manage it because of his busy schedule for today and swiftly departs. Rather than heading to the office, Levasseur went straight to the unknown building to meet his girlfriend. Then, a stunning young girl named Elena, who is a well-known supermodel, enters the same building. Levasseur presented her with a magnificent diamond necklace. Elena straightly asks him when he is going to divorce his wife because she is fed up with his pathetic justifications for the past 2 years. Levasseur urged her not to make a fuss because meeting her while avoiding the paparazzi wasn't easy. After losing her cool, Elena announces her breakup with him. She flung the necklace away and stormed out in rage. Levasseur pursues her and attempts to persuade her. Meanwhile, a paparazzi approaches and snaps a photo of them as Francois passes by. Francois arrives at Emily's bookstore and invites her out to lunch. Francois informs her that he has made a reservation at a fancy restaurant. Emily says that her schedule is rather hectic and insists on having lunch at their usual spot. At the restaurant, Francois gets straight to the point and proposes to her by presenting her with a ring. After being taken aback, Emily explains to him that they are just good friends and nothing else. Francois claims he's been in love with her since kindergarten. Emily states she doesn't want to hurt his feelings and can't marry him since she needs to repay the bank loan she obtained to run her business. Francois declares that he will do everything to pay off her liability. Before departing, Emily says it's 32,450 euros, and to pay off, Francois has to park at least 10,000 cars to pay off that amount. Francois grabbed the ring and regretfully departed the restaurant. After that, Emily returned to the bookstore and regretted hurting Francois's feelings. Meanwhile, Pascal shows up to purchase a magazine and flirts with Emily. After Pascal left, her assistant Marie encouraged her not to be upset over Francois because he was not worth it. She tells her to concentrate on Pascal because he is a businessman and a better alternative than a lousy parking valet. Later, Francois returned home, and his mate Richard enthusiastically inquired about his encounter with Emily. Francois unleashes all his anger at him and kicks him out of his house. Richard curses him that he will never find a companion and departs. The next morning, Christine inquires about the Levasseur and Elena scandal that was reported in newspapers. Levasseur asserted that the girl was with another man and that he didn't know her. Next, Christine inquired as to why the other person's face was hazy. Before departing, a scared Levasseur threatens to sue the newspaper for fabricating this story. In order to deal with this stressful situation, Levasseur consulted with his lawyer at the office. The attorney advises him that his only option is to track down that person before Christine finds him and offers him money in exchange for pretending to be Elena's lover. The attorney further says in order to ease Christine's concerns, the man and Elena must reside together under one roof as a couple. Levasseur stated that Elena would not consent to this. As a result, the lawyer instructed him to deposit $2 million into her account. Levasseur claims that Elena loves him and isn't interested in his money. The lawyer states that honest women are rare in billionaire circles. Shortly after, Levasseur met with Elena and begged for her support because he was in a difficult situation. Levasseur adds that since his wife is a key shareholder in the business, he only needs a month to sort everything out before divorcing her. Elena gets right to the point, demanding that he deposit 20 million euros into her bank account as an assurance that he will divorce his wife within a month, failing which she will view the sum as payment for performing that role. Levasseur believes 20 million euros is a large sum. Elena clarifies he has no option but to accept or leave it. Levasseur didn't have a choice, so he consented to her demands. The attorney then stopped by Francois in the parking lot. Francois was given a detailed explanation and was even offered payment for his services. Francois committed to doing it for 32,450 euros. It was the exact amount Emily needed to pay off the bank. Francois still loves Emily even though she crushed his heart. As the lawyer entered the office, Levasseur questioned about the meeting with Francois. After saying everything had been resolved, the attorney asked about his meeting with Elena. Levasseur has stated that she desires 20 million euros. It turned out that the lawyer's impression of Elena was accurate. That evening, Christine visited Francois's house to inquire about Elena from him. However, Elena was already there and welcomed her into the house. Upon seeing her there, Christine swiftly left the apartment. Christine understood that they had already done the damage control, so she promptly called the private detective named Berman and instructed him to keep an eye on them day and night. The next morning, Elena met with the lawyer to finalize the terms of the agreement. The lawyer hands over the document and says it's a nice sum. Elena says that it is 100 times cheaper than getting divorced. The lawyer instructs her to be seen with Francois wherever possible in order to convince those onlookers that you and Francois are a genuine pair. At that point, Levasseur appears and asks if she is satisfied with the arrangements. Elena laments that the place is hardly livable, but the guy is a lovely gentleman. When Levasseur tries to kiss her, she stops him and argues that, as a moral girl, she cannot be with two men. Levasseur says he loves her and will do whatever it takes to live with her. Elena then departs by claiming to have a lunch date with her future husband. Elena then heads straight to Francois's workplace and deliberately kisses him in public so Berman can take their picture. Everyone is shocked to learn that a gorgeous hot top model is a poor parking valet's girlfriend. When Richard inquires about her, Francois responds they are in a relationship, and she lives with him at his apartment. Upon hearing that, Richard's mouth was wide open. While on her way to the restaurant, Elena inquires about Francois' usual lunch spot. Instead of going to his usual restaurant, he accompanies her to another one because he does not want Emily to know about it. On the other side, Emily notifies Marie that Francois sent her a message stating that he has arranged the funds to pay for her debt, but she has not responded. Marie claims he must be bluffing because arranging such a large sum of money is beyond his capabilities. Meanwhile, Pascal shows up and gifts her a cell phone. Before Emily says anything, he swiftly asks her for lunch, and Marie signals her to accept his invitation. Emily accepts the offer and walks out to have lunch with him. At the eatery, they sit like a lovely romantic couple to convince Berman they are in a real relationship. What a bad luck. Emily also arrived at the same restaurant where our lovebirds were enjoying lunch. Upon seeing her there, Francois was tremendously shocked. Francois introduces her to Elena, and Emily introduces him to Pascal. While having lunch, Pascal informs Emily that Elena is a supermodel and is curious to know how a man like Francois gets a stunning beauty like her. Francois intentionally kisses Elena to make Emily envious. On the other hand, Emily keeps her emotions under control and pretends it doesn't matter. Once they have lunch, Elena drops him at his workplace and departs. Upon returning to the bookstore, Emily told Marie that Francois's new girlfriend, Elena, is the highest-paid supermodel. Marie didn't believe it as well. Hence, Marie concluded that perhaps Elena had seen him driving a Ferrari and was unaware he was a parking valet. That evening, Francois returned home and noticed someone spying on his apartment from the opposite side of the building. Meanwhile, Elena also arrived home, and he gave her an update on the issue. Francois was irritated by the scenario and rudely asked how long they would spy on them. Elena responds that it is a part of the deal and they must act like a normal couple in the house. Elena also asks him why his mood has been off since lunchtime. Elena added that she could assist him in resolving this issue because she noticed a dramatic change in his mood the moment Emily entered the restaurant. Before Francois could say anything, the doorbell rang, revealing that Richard had arrived to confirm whether Francois was telling the truth. Upon witnessing her there, Richard gets shocked and becomes speechless. Elena offers him a drink. Instead of joining them for drinks, Richard excuses himself and leaves. Then, Francois admits that he is only doing it for financial gain but that everything has now fallen apart, and Emily won't speak to him again. Elena said don't worry, she will call because she is a woman and has seen us together. At that moment, the phone rings, and Francois enthusiastically picks it up. Unfortunately, the lawyer called, instructing him to attend Elena's runway show. The lawyer also wished to send him some clothes so he could blend in. Upon hearing this, Francois got irritated. He yelled and hung up. The phone rang again, but this time it was Emily. She told him to keep his money and never show his face to her. When Francois got depressed, Elena said she would call him again. At that moment, Elena notices there are no curtains on the window. As a result, she advises Francois that rather than sleeping apart, they will have to share this tiny bed. Finally, they dozed off on the small bed. The observer watched through the binoculars and even took pictures. The following morning, Berman phones Christine to let her know they are not an item because Levasseur's men had been watching them all night, and the windows were not covered. Christine comes up with a brilliant idea to drive Levasseur insane and orders Berman to hang curtains. Shortly after, Berman dispatches his crew to hang the curtains in Francois's flat. While having a conversation with Levasseur in the office, the lawyer receives a call alerting him that Francois has put up the window curtains. As the lawyer informs him about the curtains, Levasseur has gone insane and begins yelling like King Kong. Meanwhile, Francois returns home, thrilled to see the curtains on the windows. At that point, the lawyer called to find out why he had put up curtains. Francois says he hasn't installed the curtain, but Elena might have done it to protect their privacy. Upon hearing this, Levasseur grabs the lawyer's phone and begins calling Francois a thief and thug while angrily yelling at him. The attorney eventually hung up and urged him to cool off. After that, Elena returned home, and Francois informed her that Levasseur had insulted him for putting curtains. Elena claims she has not done it, but she knows who has. Francois inquired as to who, and she replied, Levasseur's wife, with a smile. Francois then brings the money envelope and hands it over to Elena, requesting her to return it to him because he isn't a thief and thug. Elena claims he is a billionaire and that sum is simply a tip for him. Elena further says to give this money to Emily. Francois responds Emily has ended her relationship with him and is now dating Pascal. That evening, when Levasseur returned home, Christine asked him to join her for dinner. Levasseur claimed to be worried and depressed. Christine responded that she knew the reason and walked away with a smirk. The following morning, Elena went to Emily's bookstore to hand her the money and gave her a detailed explanation of everything. Shortly after, Emily gladly shows up at Francois's workplace and kisses him. While driving, Richard witnesses their romantic kiss. He got distracted and crashed into the ice cream cart. Meanwhile, Christine visits Levasseur at the office. Christine gets to the point straight, threatening him to choose between her and Elena. Levasseur said he never planned to divorce, and Elena meant nothing to him. Christine had obtained what she needed, so she exited the building and handed Berman the voice recorder in the middle of her journey. That evening, Levasseur called Elena to arrange a meeting because he had good news for her. Elena was thrilled to hear this and requested that he meet the following evening at 5 o'clock. Levasseur also instructed her to relocate to her place because everything had been resolved. After dropping Francois off, Elena bid him farewell for the last time. Elena returned home and picked up the mail from the letterbox. Elena noticed an envelope with her name on it. Upon opening it, she discovered a voice recorder inside. Her tears welled up as she played since it was the same audio as Levasseur talking about Elena with his wife. The following day, Francois arrived at the meeting location instead of Elena. Francois informs him that Elena does not want to see his face and is done with him. Levasseur said she would not receive the $20 million because he had it nullified. Francois says that Elena does not care and walks away. So that was the valet. If you like this video, don't forget to like, comment, share, and turn on the notification so you won't miss the next recap. Until then, cheers.